Okay folks, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at adding a movie clip, or creating a movie clip and then attaching it onto a motion guide to go through the animation. So to begin, I need to create a new layer. I'm just going to make sure all my layers are locked and create a new layer. And this is where I'm going to generate or have my movie clip. I'm going to make a movie clip of a bird, a very crude and basic bird, but nonetheless it will be a bird. So I'm just going to name it bird, click on the very first frame, the first blank keyframe, and I'll create it round about here to begin with. So I'm just going to use two simple lines to create a V, and I'll possibly make it a wee bit bolder, so I'm just going to select both of these and change the stroke to, I'll just change that to 2 by typing. Okay, so there's my bird at the moment. What I need to do is select this object here so that I can convert it to a symbol, and in this case convert it to a movie clip. So I'm going to right click on the shape now that it's selected in 2 lines, click on convert to symbol, select movie clip from the drop down, and we'll call it bird. Hit OK. What we'll do is just make sure the registration is in the middle, because that's where my pivot point will be. Hit OK, and there we go. That's us generated the movie clip. Now at the moment it is just a static image, and you'll see the rest of the animation playing, and the bird is just staying put. When I select it, you'll be able to identify from having used graphics or symbols before. A graphic or a symbol is represented with this blue bounding box. Okay, now if I want to edit that, if I click within, you'll notice that first of all the background goes faintly, but all my layers have disappeared. Now they've not disappeared or been deleted, they're simply outside, they're back within the scene. Where we are at the moment is within the movie clip for the bird, which is why our layer has went back to being layer 1. If I just click this arrow, that'll take me back again. And I'm just going to double click again to go inside, and this is where we're going to create the frame to frame animation that we need for the bird. Okay, so similar to how we generated our character, we're going to be looking at individual keyframes spanning over the 24 frames. We had spaced each of our frames lasting or each of our keyframes lasting over 3 frames, so that's exactly what we're doing again. So I'm just going to call this bird movie so that I know that I'm inside the movie clip. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll insert a frame here so that it lasts for 3 frames. I'm going to insert a blank keyframe here so that I can draw the next position. Now the bird's disappeared. If I click on my onion skin outlines, however, there we go, I can see, very faintly mind you, I can see the bird on the previous layer, or previous frame. I'm going to just change this, and hopefully I'll be able to see the red a wee bit better, which I can. So using my line tool again, I'm just going to start from the centre point here so that I'm keeping the body in the same place. Okay, so I'm going to create, that's my start point, my mid point, and then I'll have an end point. Okay, and I'll just insert frame here, insert blank keyframe after that, and create my end point. Okay, now I'm going to just edit these slightly. So I'm going to click on the second frame, and using the selection tool, I'm going to just carve this slightly, and perhaps move the position, trying to keep it symmetrical, and I'll do the same with the end pose. Okay, so if we play this, start, middle, end, and then what we're going to do is reverse it so it goes back to middle and then back to end on a loop. So what we'll do is we'll just select the middle frames, copy them, paste them, and we don't need the first one because what's going to happen is it'll play through and go back again, play through and go back on a loop. So we'll turn our onion skin outlines off, and if we come back again, now it's not going to look like anything's happened again because we can't see movie clips playing while we're working in Flash. We would need to then test the scene or movie in order to be able to see it. But just to remind you again, we have a keyframe of information which is holding this movie clip in place, and that's spanning over the 240 frames. So what's going to happen, or what should happen, is that this movie clip will play in the corner of the screen for the 10 seconds, and it'll just play over and over and over again. So if we go to control test scene, there's our massive bird up in the corner. Okay, so I'll close that. Now what we're going to do is, it is a bit big, so we're going to use the transform tool, and I'm simply just going to select, holding in shift to constrain the proportions, resize the bird. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to tween this bird, but we're going to tween it slightly differently to how we've done before. Instead of us moving the direction of the bird vertically or horizontally, we're going to use what's called a motion guide. So I'm going to convert this last frame to a keyframe because you still need to have a start and an end point. What we're going to do is right click on the bird layer, and we're going to click on Add Classic Motion Guide. Okay, so there is a blank layer for the motion guide to be put in place. Now how the motion guide works is it needs to be a continuous line to have a start point and an end point for the bird to be able to follow, or any movie clip for that matter. So what I'm going to do is just zoom out again slightly. I'm just going to use the pencil tool on smooth, and I'm going to start over on the right hand side of the screen and end over here. Okay, and I'll draw a kind of curve. So let that go. I might need to just redo that because there's a slight kink in the line here. Okay, try and get this as smooth as I can. Okay, we'll test that and see how that works. So what we're going to do is, the guide is simply just a static line which is spanning over the full duration of our animation. But what we do need to do is identify the start point and the end point for the bird. Now when I select the first frame of the bird, it's highlighted the movie clip. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this, and see this tiny black circle, we need that to snap to the end of the line. Okay, and similarly we're going to go to the end of the animation, click on the last frame, do the same thing. We're just going to grab the bird, move it along, and place this circle at the end. Now nothing's going to happen, it's just going to be a similar jump where all frames leading up to 239 are existing here. So if we right click, create classic tween, we should find that the bird is following the path when I scrub through the animation, which it is. We just zoom out here. Now again, we can't see the movie clip playing, but if we go to control test scene, there's our bird flying along the path that we've created. Now just to remind you that when you're working with tweens and even with guides, you can edit and change the properties of these keyframes, and between the start point and an end point they will be infected and changed. So for example, if I go to the end frame of this bird, and we'd already reduced the size, so if I increase the size, it's going to look like the bird is getting bigger over the 240 frames, so we'll just test that scene, see how that looks. And the great thing with movie clips are that if we wanted to edit this, going back a couple of stages, and say we wanted to have a flock of birds here, we double click and go inside. It's a case of simply just adding new layers on and drawing whatever else that we want to have put into position, and perhaps sticking another bird over here doing the same thing. What we need to do is update the last final layer, but it's just a case of deleting that layer and inserting the frame. But when you're building your movie clip, you should think about all the various different layers that you're planning on having put in place and how that can come together. Now I'll do a separate tutorial for you on movie clips and using the walk cycle of the character, just to kind of get an idea of how you can go about editing them and how they can also be used for something a bit more complex other than a simple 3-frame kind of animation of a bird. Okay.